Okay, how to log in, and then I showed you some tools on how to zoom around and display things. Let's draw something. Okay, now there are two tools that we're going to look at initially, the pencil tool, or the line tool, I guess, and the rectangle tool. Okay, so to draw straight lines, we're going to use the line tool. This will not draw curved lines. So I'm going to click on the line tool, and actually let's zoom into the ground over here. We can still see his foot, but I'm going to draw a square over here. Okay, and our square is going to be, let's say, 14 inches long by 9 inches wide. Okay, so to do this, I've started the line tool. I need to pick a spot to start with. It doesn't really matter where I start, so I'm just going to click randomly here. So I'm going to click once. And then I'm going to move my mouse towards the right. Now, I said I wanted this to be 13 inches, I believe. And you can see down here in the bottom corner of my screen, it's reading off a dimension. It says 1 foot 10 and 7/8. So that's a little longer than I want. So I want 13 inches, which would be 1 foot 1. Now, hopefully you'll understand very quickly that it's almost impossible. There's 1 and 7/8, 1 and 1/6. So I'm not able to get it exactly on 1 and 1 or 13 inches. Okay, so now you're going to say to me, well, how do I get it to be accurate then? That's the whole point of CAD, isn't it? Computer aided design is supposed to be accurate. Well, absolutely it is. So what we're going to do is I'm going to actually just pull the mouse further along the red axis. By the way, if you notice, if I go off of that, it will still let me draw a straight line. It just won't be parallel to the red axis. So when it pops and it's red, it's going to be parallel. Okay. So I'm going to pull along the red axis, and you notice it says 2 foot 6 now and 5/8. Now that's nowhere near, that's double what I wanted, but we were more than double. But we're going to ignore that. Okay, so what am I going to do now? Well, I'm going to just tell it how long I want that line to be. So I want that line to be 13 inches. So my hands are off the mouse now, and I'm going to just go to my keyboard, and I'm going to type 1, 3, and the inch symbol. Okay. And so that tells me that this is going to be 13 inches long. And I'm going to hit enter. And there we go. Now, I know you probably don't trust me that that's 13 inches. Just for now, trust me. In a minute, I will prove it. Okay. All right. So that's one line. Now, I said I wanted to make a box. So this way, we want it to be 9 inches. Now, where do I stop? I want this to be 90 degrees. Well, as soon as I pop on that green axis, that's parallel to the green axis. Now, I know that it looks like it's not parallel. It looks like it's converging, and that's because I have perspective turned on. So anybody who's done a 1-point or 2-point perspective drawing in art class will probably recognize that as a way for that line to diverge converge to a vanishing point. That's all that's doing. It's giving me the illusion of perspective. So just understand that when it is green, that is meant to be parallel. All right, so now that it's parallel, I'm going to just go to my keyboard. My hands are off my mouse again. I'm going to type in 9 and then inches, and then I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so that's 13 by 9. Now I want to go backwards. So I'm going to go that way. And neat little thing about the tools here is it knows where I started. If I put my mouse on the end there, it knows where I started. So as I move backwards, it will actually find that point. So technically, I could just click there. You can notice the little green dotted line. It's like projecting across. So we're going to leave that, though. I'm going to just type in 13 again, 13 inches, and then hit enter. And then now I'm going to move my mouse back down. Again, it's on the green axis. And I can just click on that endpoint. I'm going to click. Okay. So now I've drawn a rectangle, and you know it's a closed rectangle when it turns gray like that. Okay. I'm going to do a mistake to show you what happens if you don't close it. Okay. So I'm going to draw a very similar. I'm just doing this freehand. Okay, that one still worked. Let's do this. I know this is a little convoluted just to demonstrate how it's a mistake, but let's say I drew like this, and like this. Okay. And I'm just going to erase that. Okay, so that still looks like it's flat on the ground, right? And if I go to close this from here to here, you see it does not turn gray. Okay, so what does that tell me? It tells me that it's not a flat plane. So if I rotate, you're going to notice, see how it goes up in 3D, even though three of the lines are on, or two of the lines are on the ground, the other two kind of slope up to that far back corner. It looks like it would be a flat surface if we just position ourselves like this, because we can't see what's going on, but it's not. Okay, so if that happens and it doesn't close like this and turn gray, then you know you don't have a closed flat surface. Okay, I kind of gave it away. My next step was going to show you how to erase things. There's a couple of different ways you can do that. You can just, with the arrow tool, you can click on something and press the delete key on your keyboard. You can use the eraser tool that's on the toolbar and click on things one at a time, or you can hold the mouse button down and run over them. Notice I'm holding the button down and I'm running over them. They turn blue. When I let go, they disappear. Okay. All right, so I just made a 9 by 14 or 13 by 9 rectangle. How do I know that that's the right size? Well, from our list of tools here, some of them are buried, by the way. You can see here that there's a tape measure tool. Okay, so I'm going to click on the tape measure tool, and then it's waiting for me to put the very tip of the tape measure on one end. I'm going to click there, and then on the other, and you can see it reads off 1 foot 1 or 13 inches. And if I go the other way from here to there, it's 9 inches. So we know that the length and width is correct. If I wanted to find out what the hypotenuse of this triangle was, I could do that. Now it is approximate. That's what that's tilde symbol means there at the front, is that it's not exact. There's going to be a rounding error here, but it's close to 1 foot 3 and 13/16 of an inch. Okay, so we can use the tape measure to verify if we've done something correctly or not. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to click that. There we go. So we're back on to the select tool. All right, now how do I do that with the rectangle tool? I said I was going to show you that. So with the rectangle tool, we just do it in one step. We don't do it in 4 steps. And here I did a 14 foot, then a 14 inch, then a 9 inch, then a 14 inch, then a 9 inch. With the rectangle tool, we pick 2 corners. So I click on the tool. I'm going to click somewhere to start, and then I drag my mouse. Now I have to be careful because look, you can see that if I drag it in a weird way, it does blue lines and it's starting to do a vertical triangle, a rectangle, or if I go here, it does other weird things. Okay, so you do have to be a little bit careful, but I'm going to pick just something like that, even though it's not even the same shape as my original one. I'm just going to do that. Now, if you look down at the bottom where it says dimensions, that's where our length used to be. It says dimensions, it says 1 foot 8 by 9. So 1 foot 8 and 9/16 by 9 and 3/16. So what I'm going to do is we know the red axis is our length. So what do we want our length? 14. So I'm going to type in 14 inches. Now I'm not going to hit enter this time. I'm going to press comma. And what that does is separates my length from my width. So now it's asking me for my width, and we know that that's 9. So I'm going to do 9 and then the inch symbol. And then when I hit enter, it will make a rectangle that has a length of 14 and a width of 9. Okay, and there we go. There's our other rectangle. Okay, and they may look slightly different sized, but that's just because that's just an optical illusion. Okay, again, we can, if you're not with me here, we can just use the tape measure tool again. Click here, 1 foot 2, which is 14, and 9. Okay. So now that I have my 2 rectangles drawn, probably a good time for me to save my file. So I'm going to click on, instead of save, let's give it a new name. If I click save, it'll just save over top of starting file. So I'm going to click on here, save as. This just to show you something new. There's nothing wrong with clicking on save. It's just going to have the same name. So I'm going to say save as. Go back, find the file. There we go. And I'm going to call it not starting file Sturkin. Whoops. I'm going to call it 2 rectangles. I don't know why I would ever do this, but 2 rectangles Sturkin. Okay. And we're just going to save it as a new name. Okay. All right. So now you can see it change the name. All right, now this, I mentioned at the beginning that this software is a 3D software. So let's just very quickly turn these into 3D boxes. Let's say a box for his shoes or something like that. So in order to do that, we want to give this a height. Okay. Now we could go back to the line tool, click on this corner, make sure we pull up on the blue axis. Let's say we wanted to make this 7 inches tall. So it's 7 inches. And then we could go this way. I forget, I think it was 9, and then back down. And then we can go this way up 7 inches. As long as I'm on the blue axis, that's fine. And we could do that. And I would take 4 more or 5 more commands to make this into a 3-dimensional solid shape. Let's undo. Nothing wrong with that. And sometimes you might need to do that to finish something. But there's a more powerful, easier tool to use, which is right underneath the ones that we've been working with, which is the push-pull tool. So we're going to click on that, and our mouse turns into this little icon, and I'm going to highlight what I want to push-pull. Now, it knows already that these are 2 valid objects. So that's why it's highlighting them in blue. So if I want to push-pull this, I click once, and I can pull down, or I can pull up. I'm going to pull up so it's above the ground, and I'm going to pull up, and then I'm going to, just like before when we were typing in distances, I'm going to say, I think I said 7 inches. We're going to go 7 inches and hit enter. And now we have a 3D object that is 7 inches tall. This one here, let's make this one 32 inches. I don't know, why not? So I'm going to click here. I'm going to pull up 32 inches, and you can see much taller. Okay, and let's save that. Okay, so we've learned in the last little bit here, we learned how to draw things with the pencil tool or the line tool, how to draw rectangles, how to push-pull them, how to select them and erase them with the delete key, how to erase things with the eraser tool. We also learned how to measure things with the tape measure tool. So I think that's a good place to stop. I'm going to stop the recording now, and then when we come back, I will be showing you some of the tools that we use to edit objects.